Hello guys, welcome to another episode of Ripster Daily Trade Recaps and Teachings. Alright guys, Tuesday under wraps. So was okay day, was a tough morning. There was a lot of choppiness in the morning. There were a few losers in the morning, but mid of the day, end of the day, we were able to do some nice midday trades and day 2, day 3 setups working as well. So it kind of turned out to a nice day by the end of the day. So a lot to recap. There's a lot of tickers to recap, a lot of plays. So before I start that, just let's do a quick introduction to anybody who's new to me, my YouTube, new to the community, or new to the my Twitter. So guys, these recaps and these daily teachings are from any trades from the community, any trades I share on Twitter, or any trades I share with you guys on the YouTube. These trades, some of them I take myself, some of the trades that I just guide my community. A lot of these trades are from our pre-market game plan that the traders are taking. We see what was our plan, how the plan worked out all day, what was my guidance in the community. So I will show you that. So every morning, few hours before the market opens, me and my team, we are up early. We go through the pre-market news, up gappers, down gappers, and we create what we call as a daily game plan. We build our support and resistance pivots, and according to those pivots and levels and game plan, we try to trade it all day. So this was a game plan for today. There was a bunch of names: CVS, UNH, Humana. These were the names which were on news: Disney, RIV, RIVN, PVH, Reddit, DJT, Tesla, Meta, Boeing. These were all our plays, and Lily. These were all our plays which were on our watch list. Not only that, we also create my system of day 2 setups. So the day 2 setups are based upon the support and resistance pivots. And these are the plays. This is a strategy I invented. You can pause the screen and see how, what does they really mean. So we focus on the plays that were running yesterday, day before yesterday, or even few days back, right? But the strategy, I call this as a Ripster day 2, day 3 plays. So today, RH, FedEx, UPS, LULU, these were Reddit, DJT. These were some decent plays from our day 2, day 3 setups. So we are going to recap those. Then we also create what we call as our daily level. So we create these daily levels for the market: SPY, QQQ, IWM, Apple, AMD, and all these names. Based upon these daily levels, the traders can trade, and they can manage their own trades based upon the pivots and Ripster cloud systems. These are the things that I share with the community every morning, and then we trade according to them, and I'm on the voice first few hours of the market open, first 2 to 3 hours, guiding the community through various trades and what I'm looking at the market. Throughout the day, I keep updating any ideas, any trade I'm taking, or any ideas or any setups as well, which I will show you my time-stamped comments as we go through our trades of the day. We had few losers today, and like I said, mid of the day kind of turned back for us. So let's start with the first play and see how everything panned out. So I'm going to start with IWM. So the first one I'm going to start is IWM. So what was the plan on IWM today? So let's go back, look at our levels on IWM first. So let's go back, look at our levels on the pre-market. So the levels on the pre-market were: support was 205.82, support pivot was 205. So it was breaking the support pivot, it was gapping down. One thing to note here, guys, was today was a gap down day. When it's a gap down day, you have to manage your risk in a different way. It can be either a gap down fade, or it can be a gap down bounce, gap fill. So we just have to manage accordingly and see if something is heavy, how it's working out. So let's see what was the plan on IWM. So let's go look at my comments. So I was short on IWM right at open. So I was short on IWM right at open, and I was watching it and seeing what's it doing. It was holding this level 205 area, 204.61. So I was short here. When it was bouncing, I proactively covered because it was not breaking down, because you see 1 candle, 2 candle, 3 candle, 4 candle. Even though it was under the bearish clouds, I had to close it to just wait and see what it does later in the day. And a lot of traders had a good entry, they held on, but then I saw that it was still rejecting, and that's when I said going to add again and then after it gave up that area, it faded all day, right? So you can see that, you know, once our support was, the levels were gone, it was bearish. Now this area was a problem, right? This area was a problem because it was not breaking down, but when finally it broke down, it faded all the way to 203.40, right? So a lot of traders were short IWM. They really did good there, and the market was choppy in the morning. That's why we were having a lot of I personally kind of mismanaged it, I guess, but I was able to add back and make some little bit of money on that. But initially in the morning, even though it was bearish, if we have a bad entry, like entry here, then we have to be careful. But if we have a good entry right at open, that's what it makes it a good short that you can hold. I gave a target of, you know, room to 200, so I was like, watch the bounce for the short, and it bounced and for the short, and it faded all day. So it was a good trade for the community IWM. All right, let's look at LULU now. So LULU was kind of a loser this morning, very choppy 10-minute chart. So let's look what was the plan on LULU. So let's go back, look at the plan. The plan on LULU was the PT was raised, and the 750, 754 was the support, 760 was the resistance pivot. We were neutral to bearish, and we were, you know, see how the market is gonna do. So you see that 750 support held all day, right? It held all day. That's where it pushed higher. It pushed over clouds. So the problem with the LULU was this choppy action, right? It was a long over 512, it was pushing over 760, we take a long, but right then it flushes right back, right? So it flushes right back and starts to chop here. Even though my support was 754, you know, I moved on from this trade. I just took a loss because I don't like this action. And then whole day it kind of chop. Yes, it kind of turned bullish in the end of the day, held that 754 level that we talked about right here, 754. But when this action happens, I'd rather move on than trying to figure it out, you know, even if you were long, this was a very choppy action up and down. Yes, I mean, it's a good for scalps, right? Bouncing like $5 up and down, but that's not what I'm looking for, you know. And so I was looking for a trend trade, hold the cloud and then push. It never held the cloud, so I respected my system. I took a loss, I got out. So that was the LULU loser today. So let's talk about these insurance names today. So these insurance names, UNH, and then there was Cigna, Humana, and then there was the CVS. So all these plays were on our watch list today. Let's look at it, right? So all these plays were on a watch list. Let's go back and look at our plan. So plan CVS, UNH, CI, Humana all had these kind of same news, right? They were gapping down because the government put a cap on the Medicare, or you know, something like that, bearish news. So we were watching all these names. We had our pivots. So let's see the pivot 466 and resistance was 470 on UNH. My bias was kind of neutral on UNH, but as soon as the market opens, so I start a bearish bias on UNH. So let's go back and look it again. So how it worked out. So as soon as the market opened, I was short on UNH. I did only a starter initially because, right, it was breaking down the pre-market lows. I wanted to watch what it does, and then it was swiping back up. So UNH, it was holding up, it was not failing. So I closed my initial short. That I added in the morning. But then later, if you see here, let me show you. So you can see here, I start a short, and then when it was holding up, I closed it. Even though it was bearish, system was bearish, but I wanted to have a confirmation, you know, more confidence in my short and a better entry to short it. So when it was holding this level, then it's always a risk, right? You see, this is the level it's holding. So I can always have a risk that it can push back over the clouds. So I proactively exited the short initially. But then later, when I saw that level breaking down, so let's see if I can show you that. So let's go back, look at that UNH. So all right, let me show you this way, right? So you see that UNH was, it was bouncing, but then CVS, UNH, Cigna, all were bearish, right? Even if you take Cigna, it was, it was dropping down as well. CVS was dropping down as well, bearish. CVS was also a short, but my main focus was UNH. But when I saw that the weakness, that it could not get back over the clouds, that's where I mentioned this. It's a good, it's confirming the short, and 450 is your target, right? So when this was happening, 10:30, you can see still bearish, could not get over the cloud. I missed a good entry. I fumbled this one as well today. But anyways, so then it was the short. Then I gave the 450 target, and I told everybody, make sure to lock on the way. 450 is your target, and our 450 target met 449. So even if you added short here, 458.40, you still got $8, and you could have risked $2 here. But it's all about having patience. So that's fine. If we closed a short here, you can re-add. But even if you added here and held all day, that was a decent win for the community on UNH short. Because if you go back, look at our levels are pretty clear, 466 and 470, right? So those were our two levels, and 466 was already under that, and then there was this level of the pre-market level. So this level wanted to clear. That's what confirms our short, and that's what it did. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 candles held it, but finally when it gave up, then it kind of faded all the way to 450. So this was another example, because there was a choppy morning. Personally, I'm kind of didn't manage the way I would have liked to, but a lot of other traders really did good today on our UNH short all day. So all traders were trading UNH. So it was, Randy did really good, Mason and Prabhu, everybody were doing really good on that UNH short. So now that you saw the morning short, right? So let's talk about the curl. So the curl setup, this is a midday Ripster 512 curl setup. So this is the system based upon EMA Cloud curl, based upon the 10-minute chart, and we combine the support levels like 450 psychological level here. Look at what I said. When it was approaching that 450, there was a typo here. I said good to close the short. Look for confirmed curl versus 450. So look what I'm saying, confirmed curl. So it was trying to curl once. You see this red candle, it dropped. So it did not confirm. It right here, it tried to curl, it dropped 450. Then I said, this is what we need to watch, this 450. Look at this second candle. So the first candle did not work, dropped to 450 right when a buyer came at 450. When I saw that buyer come right in, that's when I said add a starter and use the stops low of the day. I saw this curl and dropping and getting bought up. This is your signal telling you that this area is pretty strong reversal level, and that's where made me a confidence to add the UNH long. I added initially 455 calls, and then I added more when it finally curled over that. So you can see my calls 455 or 20%. They went up to 100%. I closed most my profit in 30-40% because of a fat finger. But anyways, the target was always a 3450, then 458. So both the targets on the curl on UNH met. So repeatable setup, guys. It was just one of those days where you have to have patience, right? You just have to be patient. So once this curl worked, it really paid up nicely, because I had a really good position on UNH on this particular trade. I usually don't like to don't like to talk about P&Ls, as you guys know, but I still wanted to talk about, somebody was asking me here about like on that the curl, right? So you can see I did make like $3,500 on that curl. That could have been like 10,000, 7,000, but I had a fat finger. But the point I'm trying to make is that you have to use a risk reward. So I had a risk here at 450, and then 450 risk was giving me such a good risk reward, and this was a beautiful curl repeatable setup. I can do it all day long. When it works, you hold it and let it work, right? So this is an example of that 455 call according to my risk appetite. You know, you have to trade according to your risk appetite. But the point I'm trying to show here is this is how you trade and get advantage of these kind of trade setups. So next one we're going to talk about quickly is CVS, right? So CVS again was bearish, right? So in the morning plan, what was the plan on CVS? CVN was 73.50, 76 was resistance pivot. So that 73.50, when it kind of broke down, it faded all the way to 72. So the morning short was as per the plan. You can see the plan here, right? What the CVS was doing. So no big deal there, right? But the real nice setup, a stress-free setup that came in on CVS was this end of the day curl, right? So look here, I said curl versus lows as well versus idea, same setup as UNH, but it started to work much before the UNH did. Look what I'm saying here, confirmed curl, and the idea is working, and a lot of traders were trading that, and CVS 74 calls, 74 calls went 100%. VR had 75 calls, that went for him 100%. Sophie did really good, right? So it's all about the execution, the repeatable setup. That's what I'm talking about. This is where I'm showing you both the similar repeatable 512 curl setups for the day. Nice trade. You know, the morning was choppy, but these were the opportunities that you need to take on repeatable setup. And so beautiful trade on CVS as well. Morning short, end of the day curl. That's how you do it. So Boeing was another one which was kind of a choppy, right? So that's what I'm talking about. A lot of these setups will not work. So what Boeing was doing was, we were short at open. You know, we had a news. So let's go back and see the news on Boeing. So the Boeing news was factory logs missed the procedure. 188 was the support, bearish to neutral to short the pops. That was the plan, right? So it did actually reject mid of the day 34.50 and faded, but I was looking for a morning short trade, and that kind of did not work. I was short, it was making higher lows, and I just exited. I reduced the size first and then I exited. By the time the short came, that was not the setup that I really wanted. But since I had reduced my size, I did not like it. Was like a scratch loss for me. But the point we need to understand here, it was a gap down, did not fade much more, bounced, 34.50 reject. It was a good midday short though, but that was also a choppy one. But again, one of the morning losers, though it was one of those days, but luckily we managed the loser good enough. Let's go to the next one. So let's look at the next one we're going to look at is NVIDIA, right? So NVIDIA, although these all were the shorts at the open, but you know, they were good shorts. I didn't short them, I didn't long them in the open because it was a gapping down. So I was managing my risk. It was a gap down and this swipe action. So I was not short, even though it was under our levels. We can go see those levels on NVIDIA, 889, 882. So it was kind of under all those levels, 882 and all that. But the trade that I gave everyone in community was the 512 curl. So look at that, 884. That's when the price alert triggered, and NVIDIA was a long setup, just like the midday long on UNH or on CVS. But this came much earlier. This was like an early morning midday curl, and I've told everybody on the voice that it's gonna curl. It's curling, and from that 884 curl, it went all the way to 994. So you could see that was like a nice almost $16 trade winner there on NVIDIA curl. You can pause the screen, see the price alerts, and see the setup that everybody in the community traded. Really nice win on NVIDIA. There was another flag at 34.50. So remember these setups, 512, 34.50 flag. This is also I cover in my webinars, repeatable setups. So next one we're going to look at is AMD, which was our morning short. So let's see what AMD did. Excuse me. Let's go back and look at the AMD levels first. So AMD levels today was 180, 179.21. Those were our support pivots. The first thing I noticed right out of the gate was AMD was pretty heavy. That's what I told everybody on the voice. That AMD is pretty heavy, so that's a good for short scalps. You see the level we had was breaking down here. So, and 175 was the target I gave, and lot of selling still, good to cover into 10 a.m. and that's what we did, right? So we shorted from that 179 area all the way to 175, target met, great short. There was a reversal on AMD. I didn't trade it, but a lot of traders did take it. Just to show you another midday curl setup on AMD that was really nice, that a lot of traders traded it. By the way, great call out by Yash on the AMD short in the morning. So beautiful call by Yash in the community, very experienced trader. And a lot of traders did really good on AMD short, as you can see here, right? And all of them traded it. And then there was this reversal that Parul called out a reversal, which was a solid call out by Parul. Very well done on that reversal trade as well. But we got NVIDIA, so it's same thing, either NVIDIA curl or AMD curl. All you need to know is this downtrend line, test once, test two, and then you break it here, right? Kind of your nice breakout pattern, we call it, and 1, 2, and then 3 breakout. So it was a good trade as well, AMD. So next one we're going to look at is coin. So coin was our long winner today, so I'll show you how it was long on coin today. And I gave when it was curling over the 512s. I don't even want to go to look at the levels because I could see the consolidation happening right here and then curl over 512s. This was a 10 a.m. curl, guys. This was a 10 a.m. repeatable setup. You can see here my guidance, scalp long versus the low risk, scalp 512s. My target was 248. So my target met, right? So from 240, 241s all the way to 248. That was a great trade. I logged most of it, kept the stops break even, and when it broke right under the cloud, I was out, right? So all you need is, even if you have 100, 200 shares, and that was a good move, you risk like what, $200-$300, you made $700-$800, right? So that's the kind of risk reward trade that you are looking on coin. And you can see my timestamp guidance on the left and the system I'm showing you right. So there was another nice winner just like that. That was DJT. So DJT, what was the plan? So DJT was on our watch list every day. If I go to the plan, it was on our game plan, DJT, IPO play, and the levels were on the day 2 sheet, 49.40, 50. When I traded I didn't take it at 49.40. I was a little late, but I took the midday push over this 50 into 53. So that was the target. So you can see here, DJT over 50, scalping long, there it goes. And was a decent trade for me. You can see my average was 50.70, and I scalped it into this 53s, and I was out when it broke here. So it was a decent scalp, decent scalp. I wish I had a better entry, but I'm not complaining. But it turned bullish, so it was not kind of a perfect setup, but the risk was defined. For me, it was kind of a 1-to-1 trade, so size was small, but if you had a good entry right here at the clouds, it was much better risk reward. Or if you had a right entry at $50, even then you had a good trade into 50 to 50, right? So for me, it was just like I made like $2, less than $2, and our risk was 70 cents or a little more, but it was a good one for me. So next one, which was a decent winner again for us, was Reddit. So Reddit, let's go back, see the morning plan. See, we have every day we are focusing there. So Reddit was on the plan, watch list, IPO play. It was a day 2 level was 44.40 and resistance pivot was 46.50, 47. And right away when I saw the strength, I said day 2 over the pivots, check the day sheet, bullish. Right away turned the bullish, Reddit. Right, so right away turned bullish, and it rallied all day long since it broke all our resistance levels, since reclaiming clouds. So it was a good trade based upon our guidance and our plan. 46.50, 47. As soon as the cloud reclaims, you can long it, just like I told you how we were long coin, right? It's a similar setup. But Reddit was even better because it was over 34.50. It was like an A setup, whereas coin was like a B plus setup. And because If everything is bullish, hourly bullish, daily bullish, 1 hour bullish, that's an A plus. If only 10 minute is over 512, that's a B plus. If everything is bearish and you're trying to long it, that's a B minus, C minus, right? So, but anyways, the point was, Reddit was, we had a plan, a lot of traders executed the plan, so that was good. Next one we're going to look at, our morning plan was Estee Lauder. So Estee Lauder, Citigroup upgraded to buy, the profit target increased. I told everybody only long over 153, right? Do not long under 153. So what it did was it started to break it. It started to break the clouds, and then I said it's a gap fill, and that's what it did, right? It pushed, bounced, short again, gap fill to 150, right? Even if you shorted 153 level, you got a decent gap fill, more than the gap fill actually, right? So you can see what I'm saying, gap fill watch, filling the gap. Of course, I was not on top of it all day, but it was a good setup to fill the gap. Either you hit here, but if it's bouncing, you close, but you can get right back in again when it rejects under the clouds. Next one we're going to look at is Restoration Hardware. Restoration Hardware was our day 2 short. Let's go back and let's see. I mentioned at 9:43 that it was a nice day 2 short setup, and let's go back and look at what was the plan. Top one, it was the number 1 in our day 2, day 3 setups. 334, 330 was the support. Once that support gave up, that was it, right? It was already under that support, and it faded all day. It faded, and the first target I gave everybody was 310, and the next target was 305. I said keep runners for 305, right? And they kept buying 300. I mentioned that they're buying 305, sorry. So they're buying 305, and that's where it bounced back to 310s. Yeah, another one that faded all day on the clouds was not my personal trade, but I just want to show you that it was on our short day 2 setup. LULU 380, 385 was resistance. When this big level broke down, I talked about on Twitter, that was a textbook fade to 377s. So that's why it was bearish all day. It was little choppy, so it was hard to get the best entry, but it was bearish all day. So another one we're going to talk about day 2 was FedEx, right? We traded FedEx yesterday. It was number 2 on our day 2 list. 278, 277 was the support. It could never get back over 280, 78. That was your resistance to short it, and that was the short all day as well on FedEx. You could see that number 2 on our day 2 short setup, all day short, could never get back up, and the where you could have shorted it was not at the open but at the 10 a.m. setup when it was breaking this bear flag, risking this 278, and that was the short there. And these were the levels I gave, 278 and 277. So those were levels you need to use to short it. It was not the perfect at the open because it was gapping down, so it's always hard, but it was a good setup after 10 a.m. and remember, these don't really have a news, and best setups are short right at open, but the gap down took a lot of meat out of our trade. There was another trade today on our plan. Let's look at its PVH. So PVH, the plan was watch for a B minus bounce, room 200 if it breaks. So it was gapping down a lot of gap down, and resistance was on, what was the resistance? Let's go back and see our resistance. So the resistance was on here was 112, 111, and that's where it was rejecting, right? This area, you could see that's the area it's rejecting. So then it rejected that, then it was kind of fading back. So let's see what we did today. So it was heavy, right? It was heavy, but the plan was that it could touch back low of the day, but it was heavy, bounced back again into the clouds, again faded, and then chopped all day. So it was kind of a choppy loser unless you had a really good entry here. But again, not a perfect setup, such a big gap down, B minus, never could turn the bullish unless your entry was at 111, 112, which is ideally the best entry if you can have that, because that was the resistance. Then you could have covered back at 105s, and it could have worked, but it was kind of choppy and going sideways. So if shorted here, came back, even though it's bearish, you know, but you just need to manage the chop and just get out, because this was a chop all day, and then there was a PVH. This was a perfect 512 midday reversal as well. Let's quickly look at RIVN. So what was the plan on RIVN this morning? So RIVN was a short at the open, and it was a quick scalp short at the open. I told everybody in the pre-market that RIVN, you know, it's already down so much. So I call 10 is a big support. I don't know how much it can fall, but maybe it can give you 30-40 cents. You know, that's what I told everyone in my pre-market you know, prep, and that's what it did. It faded from 1070s to 1020s. That was it, right? Touched 1020s, and it was short at open. If I go to 1 minute, you know, even if I, you know, tell you the resistance was that 1070, as soon as 1070 break, you short it, it hits 1040, 1050, you cover it, because you're risking 20-30 cents, you're making 40-50 cents. That's it. Get out, don't look back. Every trade is according to the, you know, to the stock. So it was okay, right? Let's say you shorted 1,000 shares, you risked $200, you know, you made $400-500. That's enough. So next one we're going to look at is UPS, right? So let's see. So UPS this morning was, let's go back, look at, it was bullish. It was bullish. What were the levels on UPS? UPS day 2 146.32, resistance was 148.50, and it broke all the resistances, turned bullish, hit 151 in the morning on that bullish push, right? So I even talked about it at 10 a.m. I was a little late, 950s. Even after that breakout, UPS pushed to 151. So that was a good morning trade on UPS. So next one we're going to quickly look at is Meta, right? So what I want for you guys to focus on Meta is the level that I mentioned. Look here, right? So Meta was bullish in the morning. I told everybody, watch the 488 pullbacks, and look what it did. Pushed right at 488, reclaimed, pushed back, and kept pushing all day. So that level was a good level to use it, you see, from yesterday to trade it long. All right, let's close the day with end of the day. SPY QQQ was definitely choppy in the morning. It was giving a short, but it was holding. So we just had to get out, break even on the short side. And remember, when it's gap down, a lot of the meat is gone in the gap down. And unless there's a huge catalyst, we see follow through. But it chopped all day. It chopped all day. It chopped, you know, a little high, but it was chopped. It was trying to go, but the breakout that really came was in the end. I shared this breakout with everyone in the community. Let me show you what we were talking about. So, you know, so when these kind of breakouts hold, I was already watching when it was holding this range, this range, right? So you see this range. So you can have a starter. You know, these 3 candles are holding 1, 2, 3. So I saw this I already saw this kind of setting up. So I added some calls right at this candle. And when it was breaking out, I swiped a few more calls on QQQ. So starter, add more, cut. Starter, add more, cut. So I can show you, let me just show you, where was I? So let me see if I can show you my commentary on the trading floor. So this is what I said, right? So you see that market, this is the look. So let's see. So this is what I posted, that this is the look. I told if it breaks out, it's going to push. So that's what my comments was on the floor. That's what I was saying, that it's going to push. And you know, I can show you the before and after right here. So anyways, so this was pushing. So this was setting up right here. So I bought some calls, 170s, 440s for tomorrow. And when it was swiping up, I added some more, probably at 185s, 190s. And then those went on to go to 230s, right? So it was a nice scalp, but this was the setup. So you add a starter here because it can easily reject it and fail back. You stay ready to cut it. If it breaks this 10-minute candle, just cut it, don't look back. The 170s might go to 160s and 158s, but you just cut it and move on. And same here, But when it's breaking out, you see this breakout, this breakout, this breakout. So the breakout is not just the pattern, it's with the 3450 cloud, 3450 cloud. This is a repeatable end of the day 3450 reversal setup. This I also cover in my webinars. So it was a good scalp to close the day. You know, just been a choppy morning, had some good setups in the midday. So overall we ended up with a decent ideas. So as you see, so that's the wrap for today, guys. If any questions, post under the comments. Please like, share, and you know, if you want to trade with me, come join the community. This is what I do there. As you see, you know, we're not an alert service, but a lot of value, and I'll help you whatever you need. So solid midday trades today. Some losers, but that's the plan. Never lose too much, win big, lose small. All right, my friends, take care. See you tomorrow.